everybody. You're listening to Accounting Makes Sense, an MJ the Tutor podcast, and I'm your host, MJ. In this podcast, we are focused on helping accounting students all over the world by offering a quick warm-up on various accounting and business topics, hoping to generate bigger discussions and conversations around them. For this episode, I'm going to offer a few tidbits on the Operational Case Study, OCS, for May 2025. Yes, it's that time again! Today's episode is actually just right on time for the arrival of the OCS pre-scene material, which came out last Friday. These tidbits are like clues into the world of the pre-scene company. All it is are really quick and fast intakes of the pre-scene material. I've only had the weekend to actually read through it. These are just my fresh thoughts. I always believe that as you read the pre-scene more and more, you'll get more insights out of it. Anyway, let's start off with the background information. Our pre-scene company is a company called Halfpenny, which is a company specialized in producing and selling packaged bread. So our first tidbit to share for today is on profitability pressure on high volume products. So Halfpenny, we know, is doing bread production. And if we have a look at the different types of product that Halfpenny does, they do bread rolls and bread loaves. And there's a lot of information about the revenue and the gross profit margins of each type of bread loaves and each type of bread rolls that they produce. And if we actually have a look at these numbers here, Halfpenny relies heavily on high volume sales, particularly of bread loaves, which accounts for 86% of its total sales. However, profitability across different loaf types varies significantly. Some loaves, like your wholemeal bread, have a very low profit margin of 13%. So they actually look like they're bringing in a lot of revenue, but they don't actually contribute much to overall profitability. On the other hand, you have something like the rustic bread, which has a high margin at 43%, but they have lower sales compared to the other loaf types. This issue obviously highlights a big problem for Halfpenny in that if there is costs increasing or market conditions changing, Halfpenny's profitability could be at risk, especially for the lower margin products. On the financial information given to us on the pre-scene material, we are able to break this down on a detailed level. We can look at the types, which is the bread rolls and the bread loaves. And we can also look at white, wholemeal, rustic, multi-seed. And we break it down how much each will give us in profit margins and how much each will give us in revenue. You can immediately identify that bread loaves make up 80% of the revenue. This kind of gives me the Pareto analysis, 80-20 rule vibe, where 80% of your revenue comes from a specific product, but maybe 20% of your profit only comes from that product. So you generate a lot of revenue for that particular product, but really you don't really earn a lot from it, or it doesn't really generate a lot of profitability for you. So we got to be careful about that. A couple of things that we could probably use here, or at least topics that are going to be touched upon by this problem or issue, could be product mix optimization, looking at the different types of product offering, how to push some of the products more, obviously the higher margin ones as compared to the lower margins. I don't think we are able to actually just discontinue the lower margins because they are obviously part and parcel of the revenue stream. We can look at pricing. I know that we already kind of do this with the large retailer versus small retailer pricing, but kind of have to look at trying to shift more profitable products on the front of the business. Also looking at cost or managing costs at least, right? It is going to be problematic if there's any cost increases on your labor, on your raw materials, because it could actually turn some of your products unprofitable. So the second tidbit to share for today is on product perishability and distribution complexity. Now, Halfpenny faces a significant challenge with regards to the perishability of bread and the complexity of the distribution network. Bread, of course, have a very short shelf life. They require to be sold and consumed quickly before they become unsellable. This places immense pressure on production planning, inventory management, and distribution logistics. Now, any inefficiencies you find in these areas can lead to waste, stockouts, or excess inventory, all of which negatively impacts profitability. Now, since daily deliveries are essential, transportation costs and supply chain reliability becomes critical as well for a halfpenny's operation. Now, a couple of things that highlight this: we have some issue that is evident in the financial information given to us. We see an increase in inventory, we see an increase in trade receivables, which kind of suggests there might be potential inefficiencies in these areas, especially in stock turnover. This also indicates that products may not be selling as quickly as expected, leading to excess inventory holding. Additionally, because of that necessity of the daily deliveries of these breads, they add to logistical complexity for halfpenny, requiring efficient transportation and accurate forecasting. Some of the things to look at with regards to topics that may be covered by this issue would be perhaps inventory management systems. So, just-in-time inventory system comes to mind when it looks at minimizing inventory holding and waste. I would also perhaps look at using technology to help us with supply chain optimization. There are some software that you can use to streamline the delivery process or reduce transportation costs and that kind of thing. Trying to improve demand forecasting techniques to align our production better with the actual trend of sales. Something else as a topic, maybe working capital management, might be covered here because of the increase in inventory days, looking at it as a KPI for us to just make sure that we don't carry excess inventory. We also might have a look at better payment terms with our suppliers to try and improve cash, to try and reduce financial strain, if ever it comes to that. So the last tidbit to share for today is on capital intensity and modernization requirements. Halfpenny operates in a capital-intensive industry, requiring significant investment in plant, equipment, and infrastructure to maintain efficiency. If the company does not modernize its production facilities, it risks higher costs, lower productivity, and potential competitive disadvantages. Now, we know from the pre-scene, we understand that Halfpenny actually embraces technology a lot in its past to try and improve, better, and basically update its process. I think Halfpenny does understand that to remain competitive in the industry, they must continuously evaluate their capital investments and use this as a strategy moving forward. Now, some of the information given to us in the pre-scene that suggests this, obviously, we know the history of Halfpenny. They've been improving for years now. They're not afraid to actually embrace technology. You can also see from how they grew, that's how they did it. Some of the other things with financial information, we can see the amount of money spent on PPE, which is an indication of ongoing investment in capital assets. Given the scale of the operations, of course, this amount is not really particularly high, but it does suggest that the investment level is sufficient enough for major upgrades. Something else that is highlighted here with regards to numbers, you can see that we have two types of assets. We have our owned assets and we have the right of use assets. And I actually wonder here, because the right of use assets, they're kind of low, so maybe they're limited in their use of leasing as a funding option, and perhaps there's a way for them to maybe exploit this funding option a little bit more, because we know that it is a capital-intensive industry, right? Anyway, it's just a thought. In terms of topics covered or might come up with regards to this issue, the one that I can think of offhand is a purchase of equipment or leasing of an equipment. So basically, you're going to get a question with regards to leasing versus purchasing, and you'll be presented with some numbers, some calculations to actually analyze which option is better. the other things that may come up, investing in automation, investing in digitization, which improves efficiency and reduce our reliance on manual processes. Anyways, that is it for me today. I hope you found this episode helpful, and maybe perhaps you had the same thoughts as me when it came to the OCS pre-scene for May 2025. I do believe there could be more here. Ideally, some couple of tidbit runner-ups for me would be the focus on sustainability for this company, as well as how it would affect the future market positioning and strategies of Halfpenny. That could be an interesting topic to analyze further. Anyways, I hope you've gotten a couple of food for thoughts for today to start off your analysis of the OCS pre-scene. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again next time. If you found this helpful, please be sure to subscribe or follow to catch the release of the next episodes. You can also connect with me on various social media like Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, BlueSky, YouTube, under the handle MJ the Tutor. You can also visit my website, www.mjthetutor.com. Till next time, ciao for now.